Geneva asked earlier how many of y'all were new to this, but that's a really, I mean, if you say, are you new? Yeah, I'm new. I'm new. I didn't do this yesterday, so I was kind of new to that. I'd like to be a little more specific. How many of you are thinking about doing a 5K or a 10K? Just so I know. Okay, cool, good, good, good. How many of you are thinking about half marathon? I'll get them all, half marathon. How many of that half marathon, folks, keep your hand up if this is going to be your first one? Sweet. All right, now, marathoners. How many of you are thinking about doing the marathon? Whoop, whoop. And now, y'all look around, keep your hands up for a minute, look around because I want y'all to see something. How many of you, this is going to be your first one? How about that? Cool, awesome. Now, how many of you that's going to be your first one, how many of you are scared? If it's not your first one, are you scared? I really don't know, just to be honest with you, and you'll find there's a couple things about my coaching style, and I think Hobbit's coaching style that you'll really like or you'll really hate. One of them is we're just brutally honest. I'll just tell you how it is. And then you can kind of sort that out. But that way you don't have to worry about what does he mean. I'm pretty straightforward. The other thing is I'm pretty conservative. I truly believe that, or I truly want for you to accomplish your goal and run the race that you want to run. And in order to do that, you have to be healthy on March the 1st. So everything that we do in our coaching deal and our schedules and the whole thing is designed to get you to the start line healthy. So if that's a thing that's scaring you, we're going to talk about that a lot, but that's our plan, is to get you. We don't want to hurt you, so we're pretty conservative. But the brutally honest thing that I can tell you, this is not my first marathon, and I can tell you that I really don't know which is worse, being afraid because you don't know what's going to happen, or being afraid because you do know what's going to happen. I'm not sure which was worse, but I can honestly tell you that either way, it's worth it. And either way, it'll change your life. You will not start the marathon the same person that you are tonight, and you won't finish it the same person that you started. It's wonderful. And if I start talking about that, I'll probably just get choked up, and you'd find out I really am like a 14-year-old girl. That's what they said because of all my armbands. They said, you're just a 14-year-old girl. I said, well, okay, whatever. But you didn't want to hear about all that so much as I think maybe you wanted to know about what's involved. Let me talk mostly to the marathoners, and then you can, as you go down in distance, I don't want to say it means less, but it'll be a little less, it'll be obvious. The hardest thing about training for a marathon is the time commitment. Life gets in the way. A lot of you have kids. A lot of you have spouses, or you have significant others, or you have bosses, and those pesky job things. I mean, what's that about, right? And they all take up time, and we're going to take up a big piece of your time. Half marathoners, same thing. It just starts a little later, and it's not quite as much. 10K people, 5K people, we're going to take up part of your life, and you're going to have to budget for that. You have to figure out how to plan to be with us like on Saturday mornings. We meet every Saturday morning, same time, 6 a.m. There are several of you in the room don't know there really are 2 6s. There's one in the morning too, okay? We meet at 6 a.m. and at 6 o'clock, I'm going to talk to everybody for about, depending on how cold it is, 4 minutes to 1 minute. And you can figure out which is the shorter time. And then pretty much I'm going to say, let's go, and we're going to run. And let's have our very first disclaimer. At my house, I'm a runner in that I run when we train. Hobbit is a walker in that she walks when she trains. When we talk to each other, when we talk to you, running means running, walking, crawling, running and walking, walking and running, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. We talk about running and we talk about athletes. Everyone in this room is an athlete. You can't say, oh, he's talking to that skinny person over there, but not to me. All of you are athletes. And Geneva called it just right. Our specialty is adult onset athletes. That's the people that when they were in high school or in college they ran miles and they did football and they played volleyball and they did all that stuff, and then life got a hold of them. And they had kids and they had jobs, and the first thing you know, you're huffing and puffing getting up a flight of stairs to get to your office. And you wake up one morning and you're like, what's that about? And the next thing you know, you're here thinking about doing something crazy like running a half marathon or a 5K or a 10K. By the way, 5Kers, all you that raised your hand on the 5K, you're not safe, just so you know. 3 years ago, a lady came to this meeting. We talked about all these different things. I tried to explain a little bit about the program, tried to answer all the questions. And she stayed around afterwards and she asked me, she said, do you think you can train me to run a 5K? That year she ran the marathon. I said, yeah, I think I can get it done. In case you don't know, a 5K is shorter than a marathon significantly. She didn't know. I didn't tell her. And she has run, I think every year since then, she's run the Little Rock Marathon. So what happens, it gets good to you. You kind of like it and you find out, hey, this is fun and these are fun people and I like what I'm doing. And the first thing you know, you're like, well, 5K, I think I'll do the 10K. And then the next thing you know, you wake up and you're talking about doing the half marathon. And then, I don't know, it's just like drugs or something. I don't know, it's fun. So, on Saturday morning, I'm going to talk to you a little bit. We'll say, let's go, and we're off. If you're depend on the distance that you're doing, 5K, 10K, half marathon, or marathon, the route that you have that we provide for you will be shorter or longer. What we try to do when we build the routes is everybody goes the same way, everybody goes in the same direction, and then the people that are doing the 5K turn around and make their way back, then the 10K turns off, and then the half marathon people turn off, and lastly the marathon people, so that for the most part, you're always around a group. Now, you're not going to be with people. We don't require you to keep up with each other, but you're going to be going the same place everybody else is going. So that you don't have to worry about, well, they sent all those people there, why am I going over here? If you're going over there, it's because you're not following the directions. Get that going. And I remind everybody, this is the thing, one of the things that I've learned in 13 years, and it never changes. In 13 years, I give out directions. There, actually, we email them to everybody now. So you just print them and bring them. If you're nervous, you can go out on Friday and go drive around on the course and kind of figure out where the turns are. Whatever makes you happy, right? So I say, you've got your directions. You get there and it says, I'm going to do 6 miles. And we all go, and you're behind me, and you start following me, and the next thing you know, you did 10 miles. Or you did 12 miles because that was what I was doing and you weren't looking at your directions, you were following me. So I tell them every week, follow your directions, not the person in front of you. Okay? That's really important if you're training for the 5K and the 10K. That's kind of what happens when all of a sudden now you figure out, oh, I could run a half marathon. So everybody goes out, goes the same way. We only ask you to do a couple of things when you come to training. One is to come ready to run. When you get out of your car, you should be ready to go. I'm not going to hold you up. I'm not going to talk a long time. We're going to make a couple of announcements. We're going to remind you to be safe. We're going to fuss at you if you don't have your blinky lights on or something like that. But boom, we're gone. When you get there, I want you to get out of your car, come up to wherever we're assembled, and we'll have a table with a couple of clipboards and some pencils, and we want you to write down your name. And please, please, write it down so I can read it, not so you can read it, okay? Especially for you in the medical profession, that's important, okay? Write down your name and how far you plan to run. If your plan is to run 4 miles, put your name and put 4 beside of it. Hang around a few minutes, we're going to talk, we're going to go, we're off. Run your 4 miles. When you get back, come right back to that same spot and take a pencil and scratch your name off. And then you're free to go to do whatever you want. Once you're through, like if we run at the River Market, you can go shopping at the farmer's market, you can go get coffee, whatever. But you got to sign in and you got to scratch off. every week. You got to remember that. If you forget, you got to call me and say, Tom, I forgot to scratch off. Please take my name off the list. Because Hobbit and I, or if we're not there, somebody who's in charge, stay until everybody gets back. I don't care if you're the slowest person, the fastest person, the shortest distance, the longest distance, the last person to get back will get to see our smiling faces waiting for you, and we'll be happy. We're not going to say, I wish you'd hurry up. We're just going to be waiting for you, and when you get back, there's a group of us who have been hanging around, and by then we're starving, so we're going to go find some food. We're going to go eat, but we're not leaving until everybody gets back. It's important to know, okay? That's why you have to scratch off. If you're not scratched off, we're going out on the course looking for you. The first course we're going to look at is the mileage you said. Then we're going to start branching out. Well, did she follow the 12-miler? So, that's an important thing. And please, 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 don't decide, well, I'll forget, so I just won't sign in. It's important that we know you're there. It's really important. If something were to happen, if you were to step in a hole and twist an ankle and you weren't able to get back and you didn't have your phone or you fell on it and it broke it and you couldn't call anybody, you know if you just sit on the curb for a little while, I'm coming, or she's coming, or both of us are coming, or Leah in the magic van and Hobbit are coming, somebody's going to come looking for you. And I think that's important. And the one time you decide, well, I'm not going to sign in because I don't want them to have to wait for me is, I mean, really? Is that what you want? Because that's what's going to happen that time. I know it. So please, that's important. Geneva was wrong about one thing. Actually, a lot of things. She told you how wonderful I am and all that. She has no idea. But the hardest thing that you're going to do in training is not coming to this meeting. This is pretty safe. The hardest thing you're going to do is come to our first training session on Saturday morning and get out of your car. The first one. After that, it's okay. But the very first one, it's hard. And we've tried for 13 years, we've tried to figure out how do we make that better, easier, and I got to tell you, we're terrible at it. If you'll get out of the car and come up, it's over. You will not find a more accommodating group of people who are more friendly and more warm and more embracing than the people that show up to run with us at 6 o'clock in the morning all year round. I promise you that. I'll give you a kind of an example. All of you that trained last year or the year before a year, all you repeat offenders, raise your hand. Y'all see all these repeat offenders in here? You know why they're here? They're not going to find out anything they hadn't heard before, I don't think. They're here to support you. That's the only reason they came. All of you that raised your hand said this was your first time to be here, they came here to help you be comfortable, to help you know what's going on. That's the reason they came. And we paid them about as much as I make, nothing. Okay? So if you can get there and get out of your car, if you can find that much courage, it's over with. And I promise you from then on it'll be fun, and the next week you'll be looking forward to it. If you're really, really nervous about that, about getting out of your car the first time, bring a friend. It's much easier if there's two of you.
Two-legged friend. A
two-legged friend. Yeah, Hobbit should remind you about that. We ask you not to bring your pets, like four-legged pets or three-legged pets or like that. You know that little dog with 3 legs and no tail, 1 eye. His name is Lucky. Don't bring him. So anyway, thanks for that reminder, Hobbit. It's not so much that we're against dogs. I have a great big dog, weighs 140 pounds. But people who don't like dogs think that that's really ridiculous. And they're scared to death of him. And people who don't like dogs, it makes them uncomfortable. So we ask people not to bring their puppies. Where was I? You said that and blew me out of the water.
I did that to break your flow. Uh-huh. That was my plan.
Bring a friend to training. It'll make it so much easier for you to get out of the car because you have somebody to talk to. You have somebody to be with. And what will happen through the magic of training is that over a couple of weeks, you'll find a person or a group of people who run your pace, that are running your event, and you'll end up meeting people that you know that you'll call friends, and every Saturday you'll run together. And that little circle will go from 2 to 3 or 4 or 6 or 8. It's just amazing the friendships that develop and the folks that run together that want to. And I got people that don't like to run with other people, and they come and they're part of the group, and they take off and they kind of don't run with each other. And that's great too. I'm perfectly happy either way. I'm happy as long as they show up. So that's the first hard step. Come to training, get out of the car. You have to listen to me talk, and boom, I say, let's go, and you do. And you run, or you walk, or you run and walk, or whatever. You get done, you scratch off, and you're out of there. The training will start for the marathon. The first mileage is 6 miles, first Saturday. And we will build up from that. The longest run will be 20 miles. And you will be one of the folks, all you marathoners, listen to this, first timers. Somewhere out there, we go up in mileage, and then we drop back a couple. And then we go up again, and we drop back a couple. Give your body a chance to rest. Somewhere around that 20 miler, we're going to do one, and it's going to be, say, 12. And I swear these words will come out of your mouth. You will say, oh, it's only 12. It's only 12. I swear those words will come out of your mouth. And then you'll go and you'll run an 8 miler and you'll say, it's only 8. And on the 6 miler, you'll say, I don't even know if I'm going to drive to that place because I don't really like it all that much anyway. And it's only 6 miles. Same is true for the half marathon. They go from 4 miles to 12 miles. And somewhere in that deal, when we back up to about 8 miles, you're going to say, oh, it's only 8 miles. We move our training around. Every week we're somewhere different. There's about 4 or 5 places that we go, and we kind of rotate through them. It's totally 100% at the whim of Hobbit. She prints it. We send out an email every week. She tries really, really hard to get it out on Thursday. And in that email, she puts a lot of stuff. We send email, Geneva wasn't lying. We're kind of worldwide in the people that are signed up for our training program that train with us virtually. And they get our schedule and they use it, and they're registered for the race, and we communicate with them by email, or they call us and ask questions, but they don't run in Little Rock, which is a huge disadvantage, by the way. You have a great advantage here. But her newsletter is kind of known all over. She's got news in it. She's got rants in it. She's got tips in it. Where we're going to be is going to be in it. If she's thinking about if she's got 2 or 3 picked out in a row, she usually puts that in there. If you send her race results, if you've run a race somewhere, she'll print that in there. It's kind of a little club newsletter as much as anything else that she puts together every single week. And all we ask you to do to get on that list is sign up for training. On the website, there's a button probably about that big that says register for training. And you click that little button and it asks about 27 nosy questions, and you're good to go, assuming that you type your email address in correctly. You'd be really surprised how many .cons I get and that kind of thing we have to. And I can usually figure out that Yahoo with 10 is not right and that kind of thing. I can usually figure those out. But if you don't get email from us right after you register the next week, something may be wrong. First thing I'll tell you about that, check your spam box. We use Constant Contact. Constant Contact has a habit of getting in people's spam deals, so you have to go tell it it's okay to get mail from there. If you work for Arkansas Children's Hospital and you use that email, the chances are really good you won't get it. Their internal, their little email police won't let Constant Contact in there. They're not opposed to Little Rock Marathon, but it's Constant Contact that tricks their deals. So we have a lot of trouble getting in there. Where's the other one that we have trouble with?
I have some trouble with Gmail.
Yeah, Gmail sometimes acts kind of crazy.
UAMS, sometimes we have trouble.
Anyway, you register for training. That'll do a couple things. It'll get you on the email list. And the other thing that it does is I'll have your phone number. As soon as we kind of get established, I carry that whole list in my iPhone. On Saturday, if you don't show up, I have your number. I'm going to call your house and say, why didn't you scratch off? I'm not lying. I'll call your house. I'll call your email. I'll call your emergency contact. Have you seen her? So if you put your mama down, that means I'm calling your mama on you, just so you know.